What's up, friends? I usually wait until the song's over. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. You can call me Jamble McWangle Face. That was the 3-inch BQE Ripsqueak with the Brother Hobby 1504 and a half. What's the KV on these? I always forget the KV on these. 3950 KV. It's got a little bit of an ESC problem. You might have noticed the one arm dropping every so often. So I need to swap out the ESC. Technically, it could be a motor problem, but it's not. It's the ESC. That is with the ramp-up power turned down. This thing has been... Both of these have been very, very nervous at regular ramp-up power, but with the ramp-up power turned down, it really kind of woke them up a little bit. So yeah, it makes sense. Tiny little propeller, big RPM. So yeah, shout out to Kebab. Good call on the ramp-up power stuff. That was also with a Runcam hybrid. Footage is pretty good from these. Shockingly good, actually. And that, oh hey, that was also on Gem Fan's old school propeller, not on these propellers. These are Rotorex 3044s, and these are junk. They're not well balanced. You can't get them anymore, so good. But yeah, the Gem Fan 3035s thus far are my favorite propeller. I'm hoping that GemFan and I will make a 3-inch propeller together that's somewhere in the 30-30 range, 30 or so pitch, with their new plastic and their new blade profiles that'll be a little bit more durable. This is my full-time job. If you'd like to support me, head on over to CiottiFPV.com. Here's what it looks like. All kinds of good stuff going on over there. Thing that helps me the most is if you join my Patreon. If you do join my Patreon, you will get access to my Discord server, and you'll get notifications over there every single day when I live stream. You'll get access to my super secret Facebook group, same deal there. You'll get notifications when I stream every day. And you'll get email notifications from Patreon so that you can catch me. Technically, if you click buttons down here, YouTube should give you notifications, but they won't because their notification system blows. Also, you're going to get access to a whole bunch of really good articles that I've written on how to PID tune for dummies, basically, filter tuning for dummies, and then a bunch of other tech articles, how to troubleshoot video noise, motor, excess motor heat and vibrations, mid-throttle oscillation, stuff like that. Yeah, a lot of good stuff going on over there. Oh, and audio versions of the majority of these live streams, so that if you don't have 2 or 3 or 4 hours to watch, you can just listen to them, because lots of good nuggets. I've been flying for a little over 4 years, and I'm just chock full of information. It's the biggest eye roll I can muster. Lots of cool stuff that we're going to talk about tonight. This is a 4-inch 250. I think this is the first one to get out into the wild, and these are the 3500 kV Aerolite Oh My God motors. If they should be on the website, so if you'd like to buy your own, do me a favor and use my affiliate link. These are all affiliate links here. You can still use coupons. You can still get free shipping. There's no reason not to use these. If you ever find yourself doing an order on FPV Cycle, Amazon, Get FPV, Oh My God, FPV Crate, Banggood, Camera Butter, if you hit my affiliate link before you check out, I get free money. Between 1 and 6% of your entire order comes my direction, and then I'll piss it away on more stuff to do more testing and create more fun content for you guys. Also, I've got links over here to all my social media nonsense. Over on Etsy, I've got stickers and a bunch of random hardware. Over on Fiverr, I'm doing flight coaching. If you want to fly a little bit better, I've got like almost 10 years experience coaching in motorsports at autocross and track days. I've been able to really transfer that over to flying. So if you like the way that I fly, and you want to fly a little bit better yourself, I can certainly help you out with that. I'm also helping people out with tuning and build planning so that you buy the right parts. Micros can fly really good, but you got to buy all the right parts. Like, for real, all the right parts. If you get the wrong motors, if you get the wrong propellers, if you get the wrong flight controller, it's going to fly like crap. So let me help you out. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars getting it wrong, and I've wasted hundreds of hours probably. Don't do that. Spend a couple bucks, get it right the first time, and then enjoy flying rather than screaming and smashing and throwing things around the room. Also, I've got a Teespring store with some really high-quality t-shirts. Here's my stuff over on FPV Exchange that I'm selling. If you haven't been on FPV Exchange yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Get on over there. It's an amazing website where you can sell your stuff and you can buy used stuff for cheaper. This is some of my stuff that I'm selling over there. There's even a couple of my Fiverr gigs called out here on the FPV Exchange page. Get on over. FPV Exchange is a huge supporter of me and this channel. I probably wouldn't be here without Nevin. He is an amazing guy. He works at an ER all day, every day, and then created this website for us. So support the people that support the people that you like to watch, because without them, I wouldn't be here for you to watch. What else? Down at the bottom is some BattleBots info. You can click that for a laugh. And then here's a link to FPV Therapy. This is a Facebook group. We're a little over a year old now. Bunch of us here in FPV that have mental illness issues. And we're over there talking through it. I've written up a bunch of stuff, like transposed a bunch of stuff from a couple really good books that I've read, and from sessions that I've had with my talk therapists over the last 10, 15 years. So yeah, come on over. If you yourself or anybody that you know has mental illness struggles, we're talking depression, anxiety, PTSD, stuff like that, come on over, read some of our stories. We're working together to try to get through this. It's a hell of a struggle, and it can get really hairy really fast. So yeah, come on over, learn a little something. 1 in 5 people has it. So if you know more than 5 people in this world, you know somebody that's dealing with some shit. And if you knew, if you had a little bit better of a window into what it is, you would just kind of understand that person a little bit better and maybe be a little bit less frustrated when they cancel plans on you, maybe? Know anybody like that? Cool. Enough shilling for the night. In the chat, DJ CJ, well, first and foremost, if you'd like to talk directly to me in the chat, all you've got to do is type my name. As long as you spell it right and you don't put a space in between Ciotti and FPV, it's going to light up an orange, and then I'm going to know that you're talking to me. I try really hard to read every single comment that has me tagged in it. If you want to make absolutely sure that I read your comment, and or you just want to support a big-tooth gangly bastard, you can do a super chat. I was just saying over on Joshua's stream that I've been cursing less, and I've cursed twice in the first 11 minutes. Most of you love my cursing, so you're welcome. Those of you that don't, I'm getting better, I promise. Cursing is a very colorful part of the English language that I celebrate, but I'm trying to celebrate it a little bit less because I know some of you have children in the house or just for some strange reason don't like cursing. In the chat, DJ CJX, Tuner Taxi, Grizz FPV, Eric Shannon, Ed K, Jackalope, Brandon Bentley, Finn FPV. Finn, I'm currently uploading to the iCloud for you to do some editing. But my God, is it going slowly. Of course, as I say that, it just finished. Okay, so hold on. Let me put one more on. For some reason, it's only letting me do one at a time. So I'm uploading the raw footage of that crazy, creepy Resident Evil kind of area. So that should be fun. Finn FPV, for anybody that doesn't know, is doing some editing for me very, very kindly. I'm putting them on all the wheels on the giveaways just to give him something back. And I'm just talking about him as much as I possibly can. If you would like somebody to edit your footage that really knows what he's doing, that's going to make you look way better of a pilot than you actually are, Finn FPV, Finn space FPV. Go give him a sub. It's the least we can all do for him for getting some editing done for me so that we can all enjoy some more of my mediocre flying. Thanks again, Finn. You're the man. Ed K, T-Bird FPV, Tweet FPV is in the house. What's up, Dan? Everybody also go check out Tweet FPV. No space in between. TWEET FPV. He's making great content and is a super awesome dude. Richard, BeepTube, Bob Noxious, Dog Life, Metal Dirtskin, Paul McDonald, Derek, I'm not going to wreck your last name, Derek, B-Man FPV, Pixel Pusher, Frank Nicholas, Ed K, EE Doc, Josh P. FPV, Suave FPV, Northern Tier, B-Man again, Remy Tim, and Dauntless. What's up, friends? MotoRef as well. Thanks for joining me. Monday Q&A, and we're going to get started on the QAV-S build. But first, look at that packaging. You can't tell me that that's not the best FPV packaging you've ever seen. From your boy, Tommy T. 250, 4-inch prototype. There it is. These are also the, like I mentioned a minute ago, the Aerolite 2004 3500 kV. Where does it say it on the bottom? Oh, it's over on my, it's over on my Instagram. I took pictures of where it says 3500 kV down there. So yeah, these 2004s are going to be awesome for 4S on 4-inch propellers or even on 3.5-inch propellers. That's what I think I'm going to do with this build. Here's something that Here's something that kind of drove me insane. So this is a Runcam hybrid. This mount for the 250. This is the front mount there, right? This vertical carbon front camera cage, I really like it. I really like what Tommy did here. I really like that there's the double holes there. That's what she said. This is meant for DJI, but the Runcam hybrid, which is what you were looking at in the intro there, and what you can check out on the edit here on the channel called 4-inch Motion, if you want to see how incredible this Runcam hybrid camera really is, because it's pretty shocking. This is super dope. The Runcam hybrid locks in here, and this is going to lock 30 degrees up tilt, and it's going to hold the camera really solid. But here's the problem. It's like a millimeter off on the standoffs. You see, so I have one standoff in, and I have the other standoff in, so that I can see how close it is. And it is so close, but it's just not quite there. These standoffs are and these are thinner standoffs that I had laying around. With regular knurled standoffs, it's even worse. But here's the deal. I made a little video, and I sent it to Tommy, and I was like, dude, Chris Rosser was recently talking about how 250 grams is perfect for a 3.5-inch prop. It's almost like some other guy has been saying that for the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know. He's probably gangly and has crazy hair. This is called the 250. So with that Runcam hybrid on board, and with a bigger battery, I could probably get away with like a 4S 850 or something. This will be right on 250 grams. These are the brand new arms. These are the 4-inch arms for this. So I can easily run those amazing Emax Avan 3.5-inch propellers. So that's the plan for this thing. I mean, I can obviously also just throw the 4-inch propellers on it, but that'll be a little bit too floaty. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to... yeah, so I sent Tommy a little video of how close this is. And he said that since he's redoing his desk right now, his CNC machine is down, but once his CNC machine is back up, he said as long as there's some interest in it from you guys, for example, right, he would be willing to modify, because he only needs to move these standoff holes like a millimeter, if that, in either direction here, and this will beautifully fit this Runcam hybrid. So yeah, if any of you want to message him to really show him that you're interested, that would be pretty cool. Because I gotta be honest, man, this rig with 3.5-inch propellers and either these Aerolite 2004s, or if you wanted to save a little bit of weight, the X-Nova 1804s, although I gotta be honest, you should probably run these motors, because these motors also have 3mm motor shafts. Thank you, Tommy. Tommy, thank you. Oh my God, thank you. If one more of these micromotors comes with a 2mm motor shaft, I'm gonna just throw up. I'm just gonna projectile vomit all over the goddamn room. So yeah, that was the big thing that I loved about the X-Nova 1804s, is that they were like the first micromotor to have a 3mm motor shaft. If you don't know, when I say 3mm, I mean below the bell. Below the bell is where the motor shafts will bend very frequently on crashes with micromotors, because 2mm is not enough. 3mm is perfect, and it's the reason why the X-Nova 1804s are so durable on my Acrobrat. I break the frame of the Acrobrat way more often than I bend the motor bells. So this is a removable arm frame. So this is a really big deal, dude, and it's got a really good camera cage up front to hold the hybrid locked in at 30 degrees up tilt, fully protected. This thing could be nuts if we can get that camera cage just extended a little bit with a Runcam hybrid. That's the 250 gram build, in my opinion. This thing with the 4-inch arms, these Aerolite 2004 3500s, 3.5 inch Emax AVAN props, or the 4-inch gem fan props. They'll work too. It'll just be a little bit more floaty than a 5-inch rig, and a Runcam hybrid on analog. Let me show you. Let me sell you guys a little bit harder on how good the Runcam hybrid is. Obviously, a good DJI digital rig, right? But you can't really do anything with the DJI DVR, right? Like it's okay, but you wouldn't want to make an edit with it, right? Like it's not really good enough to make an edit with. The Runcam hybrid most certainly is. And as an example, I gotta mute this as quickly as I possibly can. Here we go. So here's an example of what you can get out of the Runcam hybrid. You can't tell me that this doesn't look every bit as good as a GoPro Hero Session 4. Or no, not Hero, GoPro Session 4. No, I guess it is called the Hero. I mean, come on. The Jesus Christ, I remember that. The blockiness is my computer being crap. So yeah, man, think about that, right? 250 grams. This is 4K 30, and this is actually the Runcam Hybrid 1. There's now the Runcam Hybrid 2, which is even better. So yeah, shoot God a message over on his website, or leave a comment on, I don't know, somewhere, his Instagram, his Facebook, he's all over the place, and say, yo, we need Runcam Hybrid 250s. You guys have been asking me about what 4-inch frame I prefer for a while now, and I haven't really had a good answer, because the Apex Micro is way too heavy, and it has 4mm thick arms, which are too thick. The arms are never gonna break, and the motors are always gonna break. Arms are cheap and easy to replace. Motors are not. Motors are expensive and a pain in the ass to replace. The QAV-S Mini, it has been the one that I've been suggesting, but when you go to 4-inch, it's dead cat, so you lose a little bit of performance. This, man, this is it. This with like smoke gray or black front propellers, this is the HD 4K micro of our dreams. We just need to tell Tommy, right? He's into the 5-inch arm thing, because it makes a little bit of extra power and it's more efficient for more runtime, and that's really flavor of the week right now, right? Everybody is super into long range and just do whatever it takes to make the rig run for 20 minutes, and we'll just float around in the sky and take a nap. But I think most of you guys aren't. I think most of you guys are like me, and you're interested in freestyle. And yeah, man, the 250 on the 4-inch arms on 4S too. That's the other thing. Tommy had 80 of these 3500 kV Aerolite motors made, kind of sort of at my request. So he sent me these 4. I'm gonna order 4 more, maybe another 4 after that. In my experience, there's been 0 benefit on micros to going from 4S up to 6S. And I've actually found that 6S on micros is way harder on the ESC, and the ESCs pop way more frequently on 6S. So like, yeah, basically micro motors don't draw enough current to really have much of a benefit from the upping the voltage from 4S to 6S. 5-inch freestyle rigs that are 600 grams, absolutely. Big difference. Big difference. And on these rigs, there is a little bit of a difference. There's a little bit more efficiency going from 4S to 6S, but the trade-off, in my opinion, is not worth it, because I hate when ESCs blow up. They're expensive. They're a pain in the ass to fix. Yeah, so this guy on these 3500 kV Aerolites, again, if you're going to jump on there and get them, do me a favor, use my affiliate link on CiottiFPV.com. to God's website. Yeah, this is a hell of a motor right here at 3500 kV. This is also the highest kV 2004 that we can get. So the second set of these motors that I buy are going to actually go onto my Cinesplorer, my FPV Cycle Cinesplorer, because the Brother Hobby 2004s are not quite as high of a kV, and extra KV is a really good thing, because if you don't need it, you just motor limit it down, and then it's someday, if you do need the extra power, you can motor limit back up and get that extra power. Whereas if your KV is too low, like most of the motors that are available to us, you can't do that. So yeah, start using motor limiting. Think about it, right? Like, you're out flying and you're like, man, I wish I had more power. I'm gonna go home and spend hundreds of dollars buying all new motors for all my rigs that are higher KV. No! Land, go into the OSD, go into miscellaneous PP, scroll down, scroll up, because that brings you to the bottom of it, and go to the motor limiting and turn the power up, and then profit. Oh, hey, also, I built one of these slammed and one of them not slammed. I didn't even realize you could do that. Tommy designed it so that you can put the arms above the base plate or below the base plate. And he gives 2 sets of standoffs. This is the one here that's slammed on the low standoffs with the arms above the base plate. See that? And then this is the one with a little bit more space. Very, very cool design. Really psyched on how Tommy did that. And yeah, it's just a really good design, man. I really dig what he did with the design. Also, the way that he did this front camera cage is kind of brilliant. Buy one yourself to see, because it's really hard for me to show you the little bit of genius that that he threw into the way that front camera cage is designed. And use my affiliate link. In the chat, some lovely people have tagged me. DJ CJX says, what's up, man? So does Tuner Taxi. Ed K says, early again, that's not like me. Good evening, collective. FinFPV says, can't stick around but have a good stream. He's probably already gone. T-Bird saying, what's up? Bob Noxious saying, hope you've been well. Suave says, you sexy bastard. B-Man says, hey, bro, you like how I use the Force to fly instead of a flight controller like you mere mortals? Yeah, B-Man sends me a Discord message. He's like, hey, here's how I mount my capacitor on my glides. And he's got the capacitor where the flight controller goes. And so I replied back, I was like, well, where do you put the flight controller? Remy Tim says, hey, idiots. He also says, who all is going to be at Rampage? I'm going to be there. Remy Tim and I are going to be setting up the Micro Madness area. And that's going to be crazy. Hey, Dan, I meant to call you today, but it was a crazy day. Did you have any thoughts on... I need to get that Amazon wish list off to Stacy from Rotor Riot with what we need to build that area. Did you have any other thoughts? You going to be up late, Dan? Let's talk after this stream. I just want to get that knocked out. Tomorrow, so yeah, this week is going to be a little bit of a mess. I'm going to Charleston tomorrow to be a gaffer on the set of my friend Michelle, Octopunk Media's one of her short films that she's making for the next like 5 or 6 days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I'm bringing the laptop. The laptop has everything it needs to stream, and I have a bunch of editing work in Premiere that I can do on the laptop. So we're going to do a bunch of editing streams. I'm going to bring the microphone so that there's half decent audio quality. And yeah, we'll hang out that way. I won't really have a camera on myself, but that's fine. That'll be nice for a break. So yeah, this week is going to be a bunch of editing streams. They're going to be at weird times because movie sets are nuts and they function at very strange times and everything always goes long. That's what she said. So yeah, I would love to get this knocked out tonight, Daniel, because I'm not going to really be dialed back into FPV land until this coming Sunday, and then Rampage is the following week. So next week is going to be a whole bunch of build tidying and cleaning up and dialing in, and maybe a little bit of scratch building as well, so that I have a couple fresh builds to destroy at Rampage. I'm going to bring all the micros to Rampage, so if you've ever had some weird want to finger bang my rigs, they'll be there for you. When you when you type finger bang, it really doesn't, it's not as gross as when you say it out loud. But that's okay. So yeah, if you want to check out any of my rigs, they'll all be there. The earlier you check them out, the less destroyed they'll be. So yeah, if you're coming to Rampage, definitely come see me. I'll be at the Micro Madness area, sponsored by Beta FPV. Huge shout out to Beta FPV. They gave me, Rotoraya and I, a $500 budget to buy lights and all kinds of nonsense to set up a cool little freestyle area. It's going to be inside of this nuclear water treatment facility plant. There's a big dive gap, there's railings, there's a big chain crane thingy, there's pipes, there's all kinds of nonsense. It's a crazy little area, and then we're going to throw a ton of LED rope lights up there and just make it even more nuts. So definitely come by and say hello. Chomper FPV saying, what's up? YouTube is about to do the thing. There it goes. Thanks, YouTube, you steaming pile of donkey sack. Bob Noxious saying hello. Oh, wait, no, I'm way behind now. Chris Ferret says, Yo, Ciotti, I'm headed off to a 6-week hell in rehab to kick 12 years of the methadone program. I'll miss watching you, man, but I'll be back soon. Chris Ferret, dude, strong fella, strong work, brother. Go get it done. I'll be here waiting for you. You can watch 6 weeks of me on double speed and get all caught up. Dude, that's big, brother. Go get it done. You got that shit. That's amazing, man. Truly amazing. Michael Blades saying hello. Remy Tim and Freeloader dropping the link to my website. Thanks, guys. Frank Nicholas dropping the link as well. License to Drive says, most durable 3-inch prop. I like how the GemFan 3028s fly, but they're too weak. License to Drive, no such thing at the moment, unfortunately. There just aren't any durable 3-inch props. T-mount, at least. M5 nut, we've got the T-Motor 3140. Realistically, that T-Motor 3140 is the only durable 3-inch prop in existence at the moment. T-mount, M5 nut has that. T-mount doesn't really have anything. There's the two best 3-inch T-mount propellers are the GemFan 3028 and the GemFan 3035. The Emax Avan 3-inch is really good. It's no more durable, and it doesn't work on a lot of motors. It only really fits on a 1404 motor or a 1306. It won't fit on a 1505 or a 1504 and a half. So I don't even really talk about it too much, and it's kind of less durable than the two GemFan props. There are the HQ 3x3x3s, which you would think are more durable because they're a lot heavier, but they're not. The blades break off at the hub, and that's actually way worse than the GemFan props, because when the 3x3x3 breaks at the hub, you lose an entire blade, and it is really tough to fly at home only on two blades. You can usually, so if that happens up on a rooftop, you can usually, get it up in the air enough to get it off the edge of the rooftop and then disarm it and just let it plow into the ground so that you get it back. But you're not flying at home like that. The GemFan props, at least they're just gonna bend to the point where they're chaotic, and you can usually get them home. But yeah, the HQ 3x3x3 T-mounts are a nightmare. I completely forgot. I stopped flying them because they didn't perform all that well, because they're heavy as hell and they're not efficient, and they have this weird hump in the power delivery, like all of the V1Ss do. It's the same blade profile as their 5-inch V1Ss. I completely forgot that the blades break off at the hub like that. So yeah, this is why I'm really, really, really hoping that GemFan will do a 3-inch prop with me. And so the GemFan 3016, for what it is shockingly durable, but it's nowhere near, it's not enough pitch and it's not enough blade material for a bigger power, 200 gram all up weight 3-inch rig. So basically all I really want from GemFan is a 30-30, a 30 pitch instead of 16 pitch version of that 3016. That would change everything in this world of 200 to 220, 230, hell, even up to 250 gram 3-inch rigs. So cross your fingers, or message GemFan on their Instagram or anywhere and say, hey, please work with Ciotti on a 3030 propeller. We need it. If a whole bunch of you guys message them that, I'll bet you I get a message from them saying, hey, let's do this. It is literally it really and truly is the one thing holding us back. We've even got another really good motor option. This is the Mamba Toka 1505 3800 kV. This motor will be great on the rip squeaks. Hell, even on this 250, this motor would absolutely work. I'm actually thinking about even trying a set of these on the on my Acrobrat, which is somewhere around here, to see if I can get a sub 250 Acrobrat. So yeah, and then we've also got the Brother Hobby 1504.5s that are brilliant. We've got the RCX and the Emax 1306s, which are brilliant. So like, yeah, we've got a lot of really good 3-inch 200-ish gram motor options, and 200-ish gram all-up weight is the sweet spot for 3-inch propellers, from both an efficiency standpoint, which Chris Rosser talks about in his most recent video, but also from a flight characteristic standpoint. If you want something that has 5-inch 600 to 700 gram flight dynamics, what you want to remember is that the propellers, the size of the propellers on a rig, in addition to the size of the body is pretty standard, right? Because 20 by 20 or AIO, and then camera, and then a little bit of extra space for the rear, right? So the size of the body on most rigs is pretty much standard, but the size of the propellers, they're a parachute, right? When you're zero throttle, the propellers are still spinning with air mode, so they're always pushing and pulling air. So even when it's traveling forward, this thing is disrupting a column of air, and that's going to slow it down. The bigger the propeller, the bigger the disturbance, the more it slows down. Ever wonder why a toothpick, when you fling it up in the air and you jump off the throttle, it just goes and it just kind of falls? It's got really big propellers, and it doesn't weigh much, so it doesn't have much mass to push through the air once you come off the throttle, right? Because when you come off the throttle, the only thing that's going to keep it moving is the momentum and how much it weighs. And the size of the propellers, the smaller the propellers, the more it's going to be able to keep moving. The problem with shrinking the propellers down too small is then it also falls out of the sky like a sack of potatoes. So there's a very fine balance of propeller size to weight. Toothpicks are way over here. They're way too light for the size of the propeller, so you don't get 5-inch freestyle flight dynamics. The Acrobrat is on the other side, where it's like 260, 270, 280 grams on a 3-inch propeller. So with the Acrobrat, what you'll find a lot of times is like you'll hit the ground more often than you realize, because when you're trying to fly it like a 5-inch freestyle rig, because the propellers are a little bit too small. The Acrobrat would have been better on a 3.5-inch propeller. So then you come down to 3-inch propeller in the middle, right? Toothpicks are roughly 100-ish grams all up. Acrobrat is usually 250 to 270. You meet in the middle at 200 grams all up weight. And Chris Rosser gets into the math behind that, and relates it to tip speed, which is pretty slick. But you can also just straight up relate it to the way the damn things fly. And that's what I've been figuring out for the last like 4 years, is how to get a micro to fly as closely as possible to a 5-inch rig, so that when you go to fly your micro, you don't have to relearn how to fly. You don't have to fly that rig totally different than the way that you fly your 5-inch freestyle rigs. It allows you to fly it better, you crash it less, you have more fun, and then when you go to fly your 5-inch rig, you don't have to relearn, right? You don't have to retrain yourself on the muscle memory. I'm now super far behind on chat. Let's get caught up on chat. I'll stop ranting and raving. Eric Shannon says 5-inch has terrible video range on 800 milliwatts. What can I do to improve it? Eric Shannon, more than likely the antenna on the rig itself is blown up, so replace the antenna on the rig. Or your goggle receiver module is failing you, or the antennas on your goggle receiver module are bad. So if there's anybody else near you that flies, go fly your rig, have them stand right next to you with their goggles on, and when you start getting static, ask them if they're getting static. And if they're not, now you know the problem is on your goggles, right? If they are, if you're both getting static at the same time, now you know the problem is with the rig. Like I said, the antenna is usually the problem. What you want to understand is that antennas are fragile. They're very, very fragile. The tolerances inside of these antennas are very, very precise. So as soon as you start crashing this rig, you're going to destroy your antenna, and that's what happens pretty frequently. As an example, I just did an antenna order from TrueRC, and this is how many I bought. This is how often I go through antennas. They break a lot. They're very finely tuned, and we crash really fucking hard. And the antenna is all hanging out up here in a really good spot to hit, right? You go smashing through trees, you hit the ground, like it always hits something really hard. So you got to replace your antennas very, very frequently. 99% of the time, if you're having video issues, it's your antenna. A couple of ways you can test is if you flick it like this, and if there's any rattling, it's broken. Replace it. If you can grab the head and you can twist it and it spins around and around and around, it's broken. Get rid of it. So yeah, more than likely it's your antenna on the quad side. They take a beating, and yeah, it's just sort of the nature of the beast. You're gonna, if you fly hard freestyle, you're gonna spend. I've had months where I've spent $100 in replacement antennas. It's that bad. Like, they just get the shit beat out of them, and there's nothing you can do about it. Remy Tim says, when did you start cursing less? Weird. I don't know. Maybe I did. It's just wishful thinking. Quessy Williams says, what are your go-to battery brands for 5-inch? Tattoo R-Line, version 1s if you can find them. Version 4s are pretty good as well. And the HeliDirect... Is it HeliDirect? I think it's HeliDirect Talon 6S 1150. I really like that. I did just have the only one that I bought drop a cell on me, but I over-discharged it a bunch of times, and a sample size of 1 is not big enough. So I'm going to get like 3, maybe 4 more of those at some point when I need batteries, but these Tattoo R-Line version 1s are really hanging in there. So, and I have a ton of them. So I'm not really ready to buy more batteries to do more testing on the Talons. But I was really impressed with this one that I had until I discharged it down to like 3.2 or 3.1 per cell, and then I did it again the next time I flew it, and you just can't do that. You can't do that with lightweight batteries. TweetFPV says, immediately take the aluminum hardware and violently throw it in the effing trash. Yeah, I pieced it together with the aluminum hardware, because I was in a hurry today, but I don't think that I'm going to run it. Aluminum hardware is just... Yes, it's nice and light, but man, is it weak. I've never had aluminum hardware hold up more than like a couple crashes. There's a chance that I'll swap some titanium hardware into it. Titanium is almost as light as aluminum, and it is way stronger. Stainless steel is another step up in strength. Well, stainless steel is actually not stronger, but it's less brittle. Titanium is stronger than stainless steel. This is why $25 motors are more durable than the eco motors, because they have the thing that you're paying for in a $25 motor is the titanium motor shaft. And yeah, the titanium motor shafts are stronger. Like if you put, if you smack into a wall at 80 miles an hour and that breaks the titanium motor shaft, that would have also, no, it probably wouldn't have broken a stainless steel motor shaft, but it would have bent it beyond the bounds of rational thought, to the point where both motors are blown up. If you hit that same wall at 70 miles an hour and the titanium motor shaft survived, the stainless steel motor shaft would bend to the point where it's useless. With hardware, the situation is a little bit different, because hardware can bend and you can keep using it. So with hardware, if you smack a wall at 80 miles an hour and the stainless steel hardware bends, it's still usable. But the titanium hardware could potentially break. If you hit that wall at 70, the stainless steel hardware would still bend, and the titanium hardware might not break. My big problem with the titanium hardware, though, is that the heads strip out really easily. They don't make cheap socket-headed titanium hardware. It's only button head, so you got to be careful with the titanium hardware. You can't go cranking on it a million times because it'll strip out. But it's quite a bit cheaper. Dauntless says, Dremel time, sorry. You actually can't. I'm assuming that you're talking about the front camera cage. You can't really Dremel because you would have to Dremel the little bit of extra material here, and you would really weaken it up. It needs to be a bigger piece of carbon, unfortunately. Chris Ferret says, can you Dremel the standoffs to grind them down a bit for the lenses? Oh, yeah, I could do that. Could definitely do that. But it would weaken the standoffs, of course, and you would have to take a good amount. The problem is the standoffs are hollow in the middle, and you would probably need to grind it damn near into that hollow point, and then that would really weaken it up. You could beef it up at that point by running really long hardware into that center section, but then you would be adding weight. Tommy has a CNC cutter, so if enough of us show interest in a 4K Runcam hybrid 250 build, he can do. I'm assuming his CNC cutter only does small sheets, but these camera plates are very small, so he could probably knock out like 20 or 30 of them on a sheet, and that would hold a whole bunch of us over. So yeah, shoot Tommy a message somewhere. Go for real. You. I'm talking to you right now. Go to Oh My God's Instagram or Facebook or wherever you want and just shoot him a message and say, hey, I would be interested in a Runcam hybrid ready 250. I would buy it tomorrow from Ciotti's affiliate link because he's the man, and so are you. Ed K says, ever so slightly Dremel the holes. Dauntless says, Tweet destroyed his aerolites fast. He did, but in their defense, he hit a metal fifth wheel at about 1,000 miles an hour. So I saw the crash footage, and I would be shocked if any motor would have survived that. So yeah, I still have faith that the aerolites are a tough motor. They're I should probably not say who they're made by, but they're made by a company who makes really good motors. I'll leave it there. Yeah, they're not made by the company that makes the motors that are fragile. All right. BeepTube says, I would file a notch in the standoff if it came down to that with the hybrid and the 250. TweetFPV says, Dauntless sent the pictures of the dead motors. I know one of those motors should have died in the crash, but the other three, nope. All of them died? Tweet? Jesus. What? How did they all die? Marcelius FPV says, what about the 4-ride? That's a good frame. There's something that I don't like about it. What the hell was it? There was a reason that I didn't get one. It could have just been that I didn't realize the 3.5-inch prop thing. I just didn't even think about it. Cycle 4-ride. Was it a little too heavy? Where's the weight, Bob? Yeah, it's a little too heavy. 4-inch arms, 61 grams on 4-inch arms. Yeah, it's just ever so slightly too heavy. Here's what the 4-ride looks like. It makes sense though. It's heavy because it's set up to carry a GoPro up front here, and the arms are really beefy. It's just not an ultralight 4-inch frame. It's meant for GoPro duty mainly, so it makes sense that it's a little bit heavier. The 250 is almost 20 grams lighter. Yeah, almost 20 grams lighter, which makes a big difference. It makes a really big difference, actually. GemFan Hobby in the house. They must have heard me begging you guys to tell them to do a durable, higher pitch version of the 3016. Or not durable, the 3016 is durable, just a higher pitch version of the 3016 is what it would really benefit us, all of us that are doing these 200 gram 3-inch builds. Jackalope FPV says, if you were upset with me, you'd tell me, right? I would, Jackalope. Grizz FPV says, yes, I love the design. Jackalope, I'm assuming you're just saying that to be fun. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. If you've sent me a message and I haven't gotten back to you, I apologize. I sometimes will get behind on messages, but usually within a couple days I'll get back to everybody. Grizz FPV says, yes, I love the design. Remy Tim says, I was working all day today. I haven't had any thoughts about microcourse wish list, but I'll look during the stream so we can talk after. I'll be up. All right, awesome, dude. T-Bird FPV says, a break for us not having to look at your mug. Yeah. Hey, GemFan Hobby, by the way, I'm going to Rampage. Wait, hey, I have the wrong thing. Oh, God, I just hit the eject button. Oh, wow. The CD drive or the DVD drive ejected. It hasn't ejected properly in, like, years. GemFan Hobby, I'm going to Rampage. You want me to bring anything? Hurry up and mail it to me. I actually need to send them a Instagram message because they wanted me to rep them, but when they asked me, I wasn't planning on going. So hang on, because that's kind of important. If they want me to bring a bunch of props and stuff like that, I would love to. Oh, look. Finn FPV's message is unread and absolutely buried. Thanks, Instagram. I'm going to Rampage now. Want me to bring anything? I don't know if GemFan's still in here because I'm a half an hour behind on chat. Okay. And where are we at? Where we at? Ed K says, do a stream with your phone from behind the scenes while you're working. Unfortunately, Ed K, in Charleston. Yeah, I could do that in Charleston. Yeah, that's a good idea. I probably will. Unfortunately, at Rampage, I'm probably not going to be able to stream because the cell coverage is a disaster there. I planned on streaming from Rampage before I remembered how useless the cell coverage is. So, yeah, I'll pretty much be completely off the radar. Although, Remy, Tim, and I are staying at an Airbnb a half an hour from Rampage. So, yeah, while we're at the Airbnb, but we won't be at the Airbnb for long, right? Like, we'll be waking up pretty early because we're both volunteering at Rampage. So we'll be waking up at like 6, 7 a.m. and then we'll probably hang out there pretty late because after all the events and whatnot, Saturday and, well, not Sunday, but Saturday and Friday, we'll probably be hanging out with people on site. So yeah, it'll probably be a little bit of darkness from the streaming front for me Friday, Saturday, Sunday of Rampage, which is not this coming weekend, it's the following weekend. But then when I get home Monday, our Monday night stream, I'll have some cool stories to tell you guys. So, and yeah, maybe some flight footage. Not maybe, definitely some flight footage. Scrolling up. Wow, am I behind? Holy cow. Wow. I've never been this behind before. That's not true at all. Meadowduskin says, I was tempted to go to Rampage. They somehow picked the part of South Carolina where my family lived, going back to the 1700s. Wow. That's ridiculous, Metal. B-Man says, I thought I was the only one fantasizing about. I'll leave it there. Remy Tim says, if you're coming to Rampage, slap CiottiFPV. No, I'm not going to read the rest of that. Drone Pilot says, hey all. GemFan Hobby says, bro, you have a terrible hum in the... Oh, no. Do I really? Is the audio still... Angry. Let me restart. Let me restart OBS. Be right back. Wait, no, hold on. I gotta turn off auto stop. Okay. Be right back. All right, chat. Let me know if the audio is better, please. I am at 10:35. I'm reading comments from 10:35. I'm gonna scroll all the way down to the bottom. Audio's fixed. All right, cool. Going back to 10:35, and okay. Oh, there's Remy Tim saying, sounds like the AC might be on, but nothing crazy. Okay, Friendly Nomad says, you're an amazing human. By the way, what max weight do you suggest for a 4-inch freestyle quad? Thanks for the kind words, Nomad. Max weight for 4-inch freestyle is going to be roughly 400 or so grams. Yeah, roughly 400. So it's pretty, I mean, it's easy for me, but 5-inch propeller, 600 to 700 grams. Call it 600, right? Just for simplicity, right? 600 grams, 5-inch rig. 400, subtract 200 grams, 400 grams, 4-inch rig. Subtract 200 grams, 200 grams, 3-inch rig, right? What we've been talking about, 3-inch rigs are really good on at 200 grams all up weight. We know that 5-inch rigs are really good at 600 plus grams. So smack in the middle for 4-inch if you want the similar flight dynamics. B-Man says, in my experience, the Toka motors are notchy as hell. The 1606s are stupidly notchy, B-Man, but these 1505s are beautifully smooth. Beautiful. TweetFPV says, why do you care about sub 250? Is it for performance or compliance? Mainly it's just because that's what everybody's talking about. I don't actually care. I really don't. I'm building, I care about this frame because it's the best, because it's removable arm, because it's got the double screw holes, which will hold the Runcam hybrid at 30 degrees up tilt solidly. And it's got a nice platform for a battery to go on. And I've been friends with Tommy ever since the original quad camp, and he's been very good to me. He has, yeah, he's involved me in a lot of the prototyping, not on this one, but a lot of the Acrobat prototyping, and he's just been a super cool dude, and he innovates, right? Like, he takes chances and does different stuff when he designs frames, and that's tough to do, right? It's way easier just to take the formula that's already working and just massage it a little bit, and boom, you've got a frame that's gonna be really good. Tommy doesn't do that. He takes chances. He does things differently, and I love that. We need more of that. Sometimes, you know, it won't work absolutely perfectly. Go figure, right? You do something totally nuts, and it's not absolutely as amazing as all of the other things that have had more iterative, a more iterative evolution. But without that, without the innovation that Tommy is willing to, you know, put his money where his mouth is on, we won't figure out crazy new ways to design frames, right? The Acrobat having the clean dirty setup allows you to really bang the propellers up and still get clear, clean Runcam hybrid footage. And that's a really big deal, right? Like, we haven't had a clean dirty system since like 2006, 2007, 2016, 2017 rather. So yeah, it's but yeah, I could care less about 250. I just find it really... here's what I do care about with 250 at the moment, is that the 3.5-inch propellers that we have that are available to us are better than any of the 3-inch T-mount propellers that we've got. Right now, 3-inch T-mount propellers blow goats. We don't have any good options. We have some good options. We don't have any great options. The 3.5-inch Emax Avan propellers are amazing, very durable, and they're T-mount. So at the moment, if we're going to build a 3-inch T-mount rig, it actually makes more sense to build one of these and put 3.5-inch propellers on it, put a little bit bigger motors and a little bit bigger of a battery, bring the weight up to 250 or 260 or 280, and that 3.5-inch propeller is going to really shine. I really dig the 3-inch thing, but we just need a more durable prop. The GemFan 3028 and 3035 are a really good propeller option, but they're just not durable. They're nowhere near as durable as the Emax Avan 2.5-inch props or 3.5-inch props. Unbelievably, Emax doesn't have a durable 3-inch prop. If they did, it's all I would tell you guys to be flying. It's maddening because their 2.5 and their 3.5 are crazy durable and very efficient and really, really good. So yeah, there you go. Alpha Slaw says, I know you don't like heavy 3-inch rigs, but what's a decent prop for a 250 gram with a 1507 4200 kV motors? It depends if it's T-mount or if it's M5 nut. I've talked all about the propellers by now, though, in this stream, Alpha, so you're probably good to go. Looks like you said that half an hour ago, so I probably already answered your question. Scroll. Double A says, so is this the motor to replace the 1306? If you're talking about these 2004s, definitely not, Double A. 1306 does not compare to a 2004. The 1306 equivalent is a 1504 or a 1505. In terms of if this is what you were talking about, or if you were talking about the Brother Hobby 1504 and a half, maybe. The Emax 1306 and the RCX 1306 are really, really good. Shockingly good. They weigh pretty much exactly the same as these Brother Hobby 1504 and a halves. These Mamba Toka 1505s are a little bit heavier, but they're also going to deliver a bunch more power. Here's what I would say. It's the same kind of situation as we can look at with like a 2207 or a 2208 versus a 2306. The narrower, taller motor is going to be technically more efficient if you don't hammer the throttle. So if you're building a rig that's more for long range, 1306 is going to be a better option. Or if you just like the way a 2207 or a 2208 feels compared to a 2306, 1306 is going to be a better option. If you like the way a 2306 feels, or you just like a more grunty kind of motor, the 15 millimeter wide stator is going to be a better bet. I'm really happy with the performance of both. I on the other Ripsqueak, I have the RCX 1306s, and they're amazing. The Emax 1306s are just as good, but they're 12x12 mount. The RCXs are really cool because they're 9x9 mount. And then these Brother Hobby 1504 and a halves are amazing too. So I need to do a little bit of work next week on both of these Ripsqueaks to get them matched up. At the moment, one of them is on a BL Heli S ESC. This one is on a BL Heli 32 ESC that's failing. I really want to get them both onto F7 flight controllers with black box. It's hard to compare these two at the moment, but they both fly just awesome. So I don't think you can go wrong. 1306 versus 1504 and a half versus 1505. Oh God, easy. Richard says, just curious, roughly where do you like your feedback transition on a 3-inch? I'm assuming that you mean feed forward transition. I run it at a full value of 1.0 on everything. 5-inch Acrobrat, 3-inch Ripsqueaks, Cinewhoops, everything. Feed forward transition rolls off the feed forward as you go towards stick center, and I think that that's really important for a little bit of stick smoothing in Betaflight. Betaflight tracks set point miles better than all of the other firmwares combined. And what that can do is give Betaflight a little bit of a robotic feeling. The worse that a flight firmware tracks set point, the more loose and floppy and flowy that it looks in the footage and feels. KISS does a really good job with that. Flight 1 does a really good job with that. That's why KISS footage, you can typically kind of see it in the footage. It's not tracking set point. It's not tracking what you're doing on the sticks well, which is a problem. Putting your feed forward transition all the way up to a value of 1 and running your feed forward nice and low are going to add some of that stick smoothness to Betaflight so that it doesn't look quite so robotic. If you've ever noticed that my Betaflight flight footage, which is all my flight footage, looks a little bit smoother and less robotic than most people, that's why. I run very low feed forward. I run feed forward transition all the way up as high as it'll go. And I also run very, very low rates. There are other things that you can do in Betaflight to worsen the way that it tracks set point so that the footage looks more and so that it feels more like KISS and Flight 1. Or you can just focus more on your fingers and move the sticks where you want the quad to move, right? I mean, I feel like that's a better solution rather than having flight firmware that's from 2 or 3 years ago that doesn't do what you tell it to. If you want more info on that, check out UAV Tech. He just did a whole series of videos comparing KISS to Betaflight, and it's all there in the black box logs. You can't argue it. This is not my opinion. This is data-driven, and Mark Spatz, who is UAV Tech, was cool enough to do all of that research for us and put the videos up for free over on his channel, UAV Tech. So go over there, and you can see it with your own eyes. It's just fact. Bushy the Bird wins the best YouTube name of the night. He says, what do you think the best props are for a Cockroach 75 frame with the carbon plate installed? My all-up weight is 42 grams because I run 500 mAh battery on it. In my opinion, Bushy, the biggest problem with the Tiny Whoops is a lack of thrust, and the most thrusty propeller that's available is the Gemfan 4-blade. So I run the Gemfan 4 blades on all of my 65 and 75 Tiny Whoops. They give me the most power, and yeah, more power fixes most of the, like when you fly a Tiny Whoop, and you complain about this, that, or the other thing, most of those things that you're complaining about are fixed with more horsepower, more thrust. So it makes a lot of sense to just run the propeller that's going to give you the most thrust. And yeah, all of the really high-end Tiny Whoop pilots, they all, to my knowledge, fly those same propellers. So yeah, get them. Gemfan 16, because it's a 1.6 inch. I forget the pitch, but they only have that one pitch. So yeah, the Gemfan 4 blade is what you want. Chris Ferret says the Vaz Ion is pretty tough. It's Vaz Ion. Let me look that one up. So that's a goggle side antenna. The goggle side antennas are always tough because you don't smash your face into the concrete super often. It's the quad side antenna is the one that you really want to worry about durability on. And I don't, in my experience, like I've run a ton of different quad side antennas, and I've really not noticed much of a difference in durability between any of them. I don't think that there's a way to make them durable. Like you've got two little tiny PCBs in there, and they have to be like absolutely perfectly spaced. And then we smash them into stuff at 80 plus miles an hour. Like I don't think that there's a way to make them durable. A way to make them less durable is to make them smaller, because the smaller the head of the antenna, the more precise those measurements become, right? Just because that's how it works. So one of the reasons that I run these TrueRC OCP antennas is because they're a little bit bigger. The the head on the antenna is a little bit bigger, so the tolerances aren't quite as tight, and they're $12 per. So they're less expensive because I know that I'm going to bash the shit out of them and break them. And the head is a little bit bigger, so it's it's been great that all of our antennas have been shrinking from a weight perspective and from a packaging perspective, but it sucks for durability, unfortunately. So yeah, it's also tough to get a good sample size, right? Like just talking to a stranger on the internet that says like, hey, this antenna's been durable, means nothing because you have absolutely no idea how often or how hard that person crashes. So yeah, when you read on Facebook people saying that X, Y, or Z antenna is durable, that that means literally nothing. You need to find someone who has broken enough of the antennas that they've tried every single one more than once, which I've done. And yeah, I'm here to tell you that they all blow up. I think the True RCs are a little bit more durable, maybe. That could totally be placebo, that could totally be confirmation bias, that could totally be their antennas give me better video, so I'm like, yeah, I like those, and my brain is like, well, yeah, maybe they're more durable too. Yeah, antennas are going to break. Have spares, change them all the time. It's cost of doing business, unfortunately. GemFan Hobby says, but what about adamantium props? I'm in, GemFan. Let's do it. Drone Pilot says, I used the Tattoo R-Line V3 6S 1400 on his 10-inch quads. 10 minutes of decent flying, freestyle, some cruising. Drone Pilot is our resident big propeller fella in here. CiottiFPV says, check your Facebook DM. Weight differences in aluminum versus titanium versus steel on the 250. This is why this is one of the many reasons CiottiFPV is the man. He is as data driven, probably more data driven than I am. Open that up right now. I am very interested in that tweet. Okay, that's what's happening there. The pictures are too small. I gotta open Messenger here. Come on, world. Here we go. We've got 2.57 grams for aluminum, 4.7. Wow, that's a way bigger difference than I thought. 4.71 grams for titanium, 7.74 grams for steel. All of that being said, here in the U.S., the 250 thing doesn't really matter, right? So steel or titanium. 4.7 yeah, 3 extra grams for steel versus titanium. I'll be putting steel in mine. Screw titanium. 3 grams is just not enough of a difference. Very cool. Good stuff. Dan, CiottiFPV. Go sub to CiottiFPV. Lots of good stuff going on over there. Z Corellis, hey, Bubby FPV is in the house. What's up, brother? I'll see you in a week and a half. Z Carazales rather says, do you have an affiliate link for Get FPV? About to buy a couple of things. I do, Z. All of my affiliate links can be found over on CiottiFPV. Oh god, damn you. CiottiFPV.com. Here they are: FPV Cycle, Amazon, Get FPV, Oh My God, FPV Crate, Banggood, and Camera Butter. Thanks for letting me pimp. Oh, and AliExpress. Thanks for letting me pimp out my website again, brother. Scroll. CiottiFPV says, sorry, 3 of the 4 motors on the 250 were effed. Jesus. How? What broke on them? Scroll. Kage FPV says, what size are the screws on the Acrobee brushless V2 canopy? And is there a kit with an assortment of screws for microquads? Unfortunately not. There was a kit. FPV Crate, in one of their FPV crates, this is the best. Like on Amazon, you can get like a kit of M2 screws. It's terrible. This right here from FPV Crate was amazing. And if enough of you guys message FPV Crate, maybe they'll have this made again. I begged them to make it, and they said there wasn't enough interest, so they really need to see interest. This is it, man. This is the first time I've ever seen anyone make an M2 hardware kit that actually made any sense and had like actually the screws that we use and like the standoffs that we use and the little nuts that we use. Like, so as many of you as possible message FPV Crate and say, hey, we need your M2 hardware kit again. It's the best thing ever. It really was. And then your question about what size are the screws on the Acroby brushless canopy, I have no idea. I've never known. Like Tiny Whoops just use like a specific kind of screw. It's like a, I don't know, it's a weird screw, but it's the same screw that all the Tiny Whoops use. So if you have a Tiny Whoop, or if you just go to Newbie Drone and get like the screws, that's what they are. I have no idea what they are. They have like a big flat head on them, and then they have like a weird, it looks like a fucking wood screw or something. It's really weird looking. But yeah, if you've ever had a Tiny Whoop, go dig it out, because they've always used the same screws. License to Drive says, thanks for answering the 3-inch prop question. The GemFan 3028s are so weak at the hub. The HQ 3x3x3s are even worse. I lost all 3 on one yesterday in a crash because bending them back weakens them so much. Yeah, you can't bend them back, License. You have to replace them. That's one of the really frustrating things about micros, is that we just don't have a ton of great durable propeller options. Macelia says, I thought 250 was 51 grams, 4-inch arms. I took a picture earlier of what it weighs. And it was 40 something. 40, oh, I'm going the wrong way. Come on, phone, come on. 44.7. 44.7 grams for the 250 with the 4-inch arms. Fairly Functional says, what's up? Frank Nicholas says, no issue with audio. Wow, I'm just now getting caught up to the audio issue. YouTube just did the thing, scrolling back up. TweetFPV says, I 100% agree with all those points on the 250 and people who innovate and try different things. BeepTube says, I've heard from Mark Spatz that the center sensitivity setting in actual rates allows you to run higher feed forward while maintaining that smoothness. Kinda, but not really. So feed forward and running low feed forward and high set point transition, or feed forward transition, it is actual smoothing. It's adding actual delay. Whereas rates have nothing to do with delay. Rates are just however much you move the stick, that's going to tell the rig to rotate at a certain amount. So you can't really compare those two. It's apples and oranges. What Mark was saying is sort of right, in that with actual rates, you can really soften the center of the stick travel, and then when you're moving the stick in the center, you can have less response from the rig. But stick smoothing is a totally different thing. Mark is not like a hardcore freestyle pilot that makes footage and then makes fancy looking edits. I am. So, my focus is a little bit different than his. So for me, I do what he says. Absolutely. I think actual rates are phenomenal, and I run the center sensitivity as low as it'll go. But in addition to that, I also want some stick smoothing, because when I move the stick out of the center into the middle where the expo is affecting it, and then to the stick end where the max rotational rate is affecting it. I want smoothing there as well. So like and that's where Betaflight can feel look robotic in the footage. What's funny about that is it looks like that because it's doing a really good job and it's perfectly matching what we're doing with the sticks. So if I was a better pilot, I would fix what I was doing on the sticks. But at the moment, I'm not better, and I don't want to wait for my footage to look better. So I do things to give myself a little bit of stick smoothing and a little bit of delay there to round off the edges. To make the footage look a little bit better now while I'm still working on my fingers so that I can round my fingers out better and not have, just be a better pilot. QuadMods FPV says, I have the exact experience with antennas. QuadMods FPV must crash a lot. Good on you, QuadMods. That's the best way to get better at flying, is just to crash a lot. B-Man says, my name is Ciotti. I'm here to say all my antennas blow up in a major way. EEDoc says, I like the singularity over the OCP. It's smaller so it stays out of the way and gets broken less. I've had the complete opposite experience, EEDoc, and I actually talked to Hugo at TrueRC about how often I was breaking singularity antennas, and he said that one of the reasons that he created the OCP was specifically to have something more durable that was a little bit less money. So right here is a really good example of how like nuts it is to try to find like solid info in FPV. Everybody crashes differently. Everybody crashes into different objects. Everybody mounts their antennas differently, right? There's so many variables. I give you guys my experience, and I hope that you take it with a grain of salt, because your experience is gonna be different, because you fly in different locations, with different rigs, with your antennas mounted differently. Boom, 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 right? But yeah, according to the guy that makes the actual antennas, the OCP was specifically designed to be more durable and cheaper, because he knows you're gonna break it. It's for someone who's breaking more antennas, right? So you're going to save money, you're going to replace it more often, and the tolerances are a little bit bigger. So, yeah, but again, grain of salt with everything. Chris Paget says, TI motor screws for the win. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, to some extent, you could justify that because motor screws don't need to come out all that often, and you don't need to crank them down all that often. You can just Loctite them. And weight at the ends of the arm, saving weight at the ends of the arms is really important. I break arms often enough that I have to pull the motor screws off and on pretty often, so I actually run stainless steel sockets on there, and I just deal with the extra weight. But if you don't crash a lot and break arms a lot, absolutely, titanium is a great option for the ends of the arms, because the weight there is the most important. Drone Pilot says, with antennas and crashing so many times, TrueRC singularity equals range, but found the carbon version is also tough, also heavy. I would lose the lightweight in a crash, but carbon survive. Yeah, my issue is not breaking the shaft of the antenna, it's breaking the head of the antenna itself. So the carbon versions of the antennas, they have the same exact head on them, so that they wouldn't really help me out. But yeah, it's true. I have certainly found the TrueRC singularity antennas to have mega range, and I know a lot of long-range pilots run them for that exact same reason. So that's a nice nice little benefit, right? Better range, better video quality. Frank Nicholas says, M2 screw kit from Flywoo. Not sure how good it is. I think that's the one in the little plastic bag that I have here. Page not found. Copy link address. Oh, I think what's going on is it's not. Oh, there it is. Oh, you know, I did just recently see this, and I meant to take a closer look at it. Oh. Oh. Okay. Flywoo's got our back. Good call, Frank. I'm going to drop this in. So here's your screw kit. FPV Crate's not going to make that screw kit again, for the record. So here you go. Flywoo M2 hardware pack. That's what you want. Damn. Let me see if this is anywhere else on the internet. Nope. Just on their website. Here's, if you're going to be ordering from Flywoo's website, here's something else that they have that's unique. I just recently did an order with them. They have the shortest LED race wires that you can get. So if you want to put LED race wires on your micro, get these Flywoo ones. They're like 15 millimeters long. Everybody else does 25 and 20 millimeters long. And on a micro, it actually does make a difference. So yeah, while you're ordering your Flywoo hardware kit, because that is a fantastic hardware kit, get you some 15 millimeter long LED race wires. You're going to love them. Good call, Frank. T-Bird says, you're going to need to put a hit list to show notes for us. Put a hit list and show notes for us to message tonight. That's on you guys. I rely on you guys for for show notes. Oh look, CiottiFPV dropping the link to the Flywoo kit as well. Looks like I'm the last one to find out about it. Good call. Damn, dude. I gotta, next time I do a Flywoo order, I'm getting one of those kits. That's really good. Chris Padgett says exactly about cranking them down, thread locker, and the weight. Nice, Chris. Yeah, the weight's a big deal. BeepTube says I use 3 titanium and 1 steel screws in each motor on my 6-inch quads. It's funny, BeepTube. I've been using 2 stainless steel on the outside and then 1 titanium on the inside. But then the titanium eventually strips out and I get pissed off. Oh, I am caught up on the chat. Frank dropping the link to the Flywoo M3 kit. There are a couple of M3 kits out there that aren't that bad. And then Metal Dirtskin says, Flywoo makes some that are so tiny I put them on my 1S toothpick. Some hardware. That's really good to know. This isn't Flywoo, this is Diatone. Diatone, I believe, sells this little pack, which is pretty good. M2 by 3, M2 by 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's pretty rare to get all of those sizes. There's Tweet dropping the... yeah, and those cases are cool. Whew, my voice is starting to go. Good lord, it's 11:30 already and I'm just getting caught up on chat. Wow, that was a big one. Good questions. This is going to be a stream that I make an audio version of for sure. So if you would like an audio version of the streams where we cover a lot of really good ground, you're going to have to give me $3 whole a month. Hey, patrons, I didn't know you could do that. I thought Patreon was just a recurring thing, but apparently it's not. Because my Patreon just took a huge dump. So any of you that didn't sign up for my Patreon recurring, I think they just kicked you off. I guess they do it at the beginning of every month. So yeah, careful. You might not be on my Patreon. You might be missing the audio streams, or the audio versions of these streams rather. So jump over and make sure you're still active on there, or else. Also, you want to do that anyway because at some point I'm going to get this damn QAV-S built. I was hoping to get some work done on it tonight, but man, it's getting late already. Yeah, I haven't done the drawing for that when we went over 200 yet. So yeah, come back to Patreon and lots of good stuff over there. You're going to love my nuts. Okay. Shantytown, as I'm calling it. Ooh, okay. That one's done. I'm going to upload another Shantytown piece of raw footage for you, Finn, if you're still here. You're not still here. Well, okay. We are caught up, though, so let's get a little bit more of that QAV-S build going. Oh! Yes! I remembered. Yes! Hey! You guys remember the F40 Pro 4 issues that I was having with the bell coming down and hitting the windings? And I talked to Kiko over at T-Motor, and she said that they fixed it on their new batch, but she couldn't tell me like how or why they fixed it. And I kind of thought, like, I was talking on the stream and I was like, I don't know if they really understood what I was telling them. They sent me my replacement motors and they did fix the problem. T-Motor F40 Pro 4 is the motor to get for 5-inch freestyle rigs, in my opinion. It's lightweight. It's now they just raised the bell up a little bit, which is all they needed to do. So yeah, I didn't take these Pro 4s off of my gear I recommend list down below because I kind of trusted them, and they came through. So yeah, I can say unequivocally, T-Motor F40 Pro 4, which is a 2306, over here. So here's how T-Motor does it. On the unfortunately, they don't stamp on their stator what the KV is, which kind of drives me nuts. But on these Pro 4s, if they have this darker color winding, it's a 1950 kV. If they have the lighter winding, it's the 2400 kV. They only make these 2 kVs. They do stamp a number on their stator base, and that is the run. That's the run number. Come on, Logitech, you steaming pile of horse cock. Really? You're gonna fucking make me manually focus, you piece of shit. Remember what I said about not cursing? Yeah, well, blame Logitech, alright? I take no responsibility for this. So there you go. They stamp a number on the side there. That's the run. So if you get an F40 Pro 4 that's run 6, you're gonna be good to go. Actually, I can check another run number. These are run 6 as well. These F40 Pro 4s that Nevin bought are also run 6. So that doesn't really do me any good. So yeah, I don't know when that started. I don't know if run 5 is going to be better. It is going to have that fix made. But I can say for sure, run 6, you're good to go. It's not going to have that issue with the... and here, let me show you what that issue looks like. So it's on this rig here. Go back and put it back into manual focus mode. So here's what that problem looks like when it starts happening. See that? Those silver parts of the windings? That is because the bell came down and hit the enamel winding. And this motor still runs. It runs totally fine, actually. But as that continues to happen, eventually it'll cut through that winding, and then the motor will not run anymore. So that's what this problem looks like. These are run 1. These motors are run 1. I have a couple motors that are run 2 that were also showing this behavior. I might have even had one motor that was run 3 that was showing this. So yeah, there you go. Do with that knowledge whatever you'd like. B-Man says, just got my F40s the other day. Even the packaging is dope. Yeah. Opened it, felt like T-Motor was proposing. Can't wait to run them. Yeah, they do good. They do good packaging for sure. All right, let's get this QAV-S build back on the bench. And I think I'm just gonna leave this build on the bench because I would no, you know, I'm not. I'm not gonna get this build done before Rampage. Next week is gonna be really nuts trying to get stuff done before Rampage. I'm just gonna start doing stuff. I'm not gonna like. Usually I like to plan stuff out and do stuff in like a, you know, an order that makes sense. I am not going to do that in this case. I'm just going to start doing stuff to this build. So let me I'm just going to tin, the first thing that I can think of is just tinning up the pads on this ESC. I guess I should maybe pay attention to which way I want to mount it, upside down or right side up. I am going to mount it right side up because there are nuts, there are press nuts under there. So yeah, let's just get some things done to this build, and because yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the Patreon giveaway for it. So let's get going here. Got a little flux pen action here, and looks like the weller is up to temperature. It sure is. Let's clean the tip. Let's also recondition the tip real quick. I'm just going to start doing this before every time I solder. It takes like 1 second, and it makes a huge difference. I don't know what this stuff is. It just says clean soldering iron hair black oxidation made of imported materials. I think it's called tip tinner. I think somebody looked it up in the chat a while back on on Amazon. I think it's just called tip tinner. I could be wrong though. Logitech, zooming in, and away we go. So this is called tinning the pads. What you're doing is you're putting a layer of solder on each pad. You're going to do the same thing to the tips of the wires, your motor wires, and then you're going to connect them. And when you connect them, you're not going to have to add solder because you've already got a little blob of solder here. You've already got a bunch of solder in between the strands of wire on the arms, on the motor wires themselves. And so when you go to connect the two, all you're going to do is apply heat and push them together. And all the hard work is done. This way you don't have to try to have 3 hands. One hand to feed the solder, one hand to hold the wire, and one hand to hold the soldering iron. Makes a really big difference. Tinning your pads is an essential part to getting a good clean solder joint. When you get to your battery pads here, you're going to have to be a little bit more patient and or turn the temperature up on your soldering iron. Reason being is that the battery pads are much bigger and they're connected to the rest of the heatsink that is the ESC. The ESC needs to be a heatsink, right? Like, one of the things it's doing is dealing with a whole bunch of power and trying not to catch on fire. So yeah, the harder, you could even say that the harder this is, the better the ESC. But that's not strictly true. So here we go. We're going to get the rest of these motor pads tinned up real quick here. And then we're going to move on to the next thing. Maybe we'll just solder these motors up. Shit, I mean, why not? Of course, I run out of solder on the second to last pad. Oops, sorry guys. Come on, solder, feet out of there, please. And here we go. All right, good deal. I left the inside of this battery pad untinned because there's a little hole there for the capacitor if I decide to just throw the capacitor in there. On the other side, I didn't do that by accident. I'm going to fix that right now. I'm going to show you guys how to use solder braid, which is a really important thing to have in your arsenal. In my opinion, if you have a solder sucker, you should throw it away and you should replace it with solder braid. Solder suckers are a good way to lift a pad. When you push the button and the plunger moves in the solder sucker, you're pushing that down onto a pad that's hot. And that's an easy way the pads are glued basically to the PCB. So you want to be as gentle on the pads as possible. This is Solder Wick by Chemtronics. This is the jam. You're going to put heat on top. It's got a little bit of flux in it. You're going to put the solder on the bottom. And then the solder is going to get wicked up into this solder wick. Thus the name Solder Wick. So you put it down on top there, you apply heat, and you just give it a second, and you'll see this copper wick turn silver as it pulls a whole bunch of solder up into it. And that is how you remove solder in the safest possible manner. See how much it pulled up? Isn't that cool? And now it didn't pull up quite enough, so we're going to clip that off. Get rid of this, because this is like toxic nuclear waste, right? It's got lead in it. So get rid of that. Don't chew on it or anything like that. And now we're going to come back in and we're going to do it again to remove a little bit more of the solder, just to kind of clear. I'm trying to clear this hole so that I can, which will make it a little bit easier to put a capacitor into it if I decide to do that. It helps to turn the temperature up on your soldering iron when you're doing this, or you tin the tip of the soldering iron just to kind of get the heat flow started, and then you just leave the wick there and you just look like you'll see it when it starts pulling the silver up, the silver of the solder up into the wick. There it goes. And now let's see. Yeah, see, it's, man, it is hard to get it to clear these holes all the way out. One of the tricks I'll do is come onto the bottom and try to clear the hole from either side. Sometimes that helps. It's tough. Oh, that's going good though. Let's see. Nah, not quite. Not quite. Let's hit it one more time. And you got to be patient with this. Man, yeah. It is tough to clear the hole. Preaching to the choir on that one, I'm sure. One of the other things that you can do is just understand that the heat is going into the coil. So one of the things that you can do is pull some of this off, clip it, and then hold it with tweezers. I mean, the heat is going to transfer to the tweezers as well, but a lot of times it won't transfer as much heat into the tweezers. I'm going to turn the temperature up on the iron all the way to 800. And we'll give it a second to crank. Sub Bunny says, why couldn't you tin the pads with the cap already installed? I mean, that's what I should have done, Sub Bunny, but I wasn't thinking. It wasn't I wasn't thinking, I didn't think the solder was going to travel all the way over to this side of the pad. I was trying to just add solder on that side of the pad, exactly what I did on this side. I thought that I was going to be able to do on that side what I did on this other side, but the solder kind of traveled and it filled the hole on me. So let's see here. But I'm kind of glad it did, because it gave me a chance to show you guys solder wick. A lot of people don't know that solder wick exists, and it's really nice stuff. It's really the most gentle way to remove solder. All right, now we're in there. Come on, solder wick. Pull that solder up. Hey, there we go. Yeah, so you really do need, man. Oh, and the soldering iron didn't even get up to 800. It was only at 750. But my God, that made a huge difference. holding it with these and just getting a little bit more temperature in the soldering iron, and that cleared that hole right on out. See it now? There you go. Now you can see right through there. So there you guys go. My father, who has taught me to solder and everything else, he worked at Princeton Plasma Physics Lab on a fusion reactor for 20 plus years, and Princeton sent him to a week-long NASA soldering school, and the way that they the way that they teach, the way that the NASA folks teach you to solder is actually similar to what I just did. They teach you to tin the entire pad, and then they teach you to come in with solder wick and remove as much of the solder as you possibly can with solder wick, and then you come back in and you tin the pad again. And the reason that they do that is because that's the way to make sure that the absolute entire pad gets solder on it. It's like the best way to tin, just to make sure the whole pad, top to bottom, inside out, left to right, front to back, gets solder on it. Can you imagine having to do that? Having to, I mean, it would triple the work, right? Like, that's outrageous. Bench time equals epidemic sound time. You guys want some background music? Joint Pilot says, I use an 80-watt iron, heavy tip, 400C, 750 Pro Kit, lead solder flex core, best flow, lowest heat. That's what I use for larger gear. I can hold my ESC right after soldering. Yeah, Joint Pilot does big stuff, so he pays more attention to his soldering rig than I do. I get away with the little stuff because I just use little motors. BeepTube says you could just heat the pad and push the capacitor pins through as well. Absolutely, BeepTube. It's a little bit harder to do that because you need to, like, well, I guess on this pad it wouldn't be that bad because I'd be able to put the tip of the iron on the side of the pad and just mash it through. I like to clear the holes out so that I can kind of put the capacitor in there and see how I want to bend it and just kind of figure it out that way. But yeah, absolutely right. You could just get the pad hot. That'll liquefy the solder in the hole, and then just push the capacitor through. Chris Paget says the only time I think suckers are useful is to clear a through hole. I find it takes significantly more heat and time to clear a hole with wick. Other than that, they're junk. Yeah, that's where I'd initially asked my father to help me out. I was unable on my original Baby Hawk that I got, the first rig I ever got. It had through holes everywhere. And yeah, when my father was visiting me in Charleston, that's when he saw that I had a solder sucker that I couldn't get to work, and he was like, throw that away. Here's how you do it. Veritas Weasel's in the house. What's up, brother? And I'm caught up on chat. All right, cool. So we're tinned up here. Let's take the frame. And I think I decided that I'm going to mount the ESC like this. Oh, it looks like I cut the motor wires down. Oh man, I am a friggin' genius. So we can just start working on these motor wires. And tinning those as well. And that's probably going to take us to the end of the stream here, is stripping and tinning these motor wires. So I've already got them cut to length. I really prefer... Oh boy, hold on. Get you guys zoomed out a little bit. I really prefer to strip these with my fingernails. Your fingernails are keratin. The material that your fingernails are made of is called keratin. Keratin is not hard enough to nick the metal of the wires inside of here. So if you just drive your fingernails into the insulation and yank it off, you can pull off a perfect little bit of the insulation there without any chance of nicking any of the internal wires. On these big, thick 5-inch motor wires, it's a little bit less important. On micros, it is very important to do this because the motor wires on micros don't have many strands in there, so you don't want to nick any of those strands. On a 30 gauge wire, there are only 8 strands. So if you nick one of those 8 strands, you've removed like 12% of its ability to flow electricity without producing heat and waste and resistance and bad juju. So yeah, just come in, and then the next thing that you see me do is I just push with my fingernail down on the insulation, just so that I have the most possible exposed wire strands showing. Because sometimes when you dig your fingernails in and you pull it off, it'll kind of pull the silicone up a little bit. So if you just push the silicone back down, yeah, you can get a little bit more real estate there on the exposed wires. Sometimes it helps if when you're doing this you go when you pull it off. I don't know, your mileage may vary. I used to really push making the noises hard, but then I feel like that joke kind of ran its course. But whatever works, whatever makes you happy. Whatever floats your boat, as they say. I don't know who they is, but they definitely say it. These are the FPV crate motors. These are T-Motor Velox 2206, I believe. I'm actually really looking forward to briefly... No, these are 2205 and a half. No, they're 2206 and a half. I'm really looking forward to flying these motors, actually. And seeing what a 2206 and a half feels like, because I've never flown that size before.
Flask charger? I gave it to you, but where do we put it?
The flask? Table.
Table?
Mm-hmm.
Cord here?
Yep.
I still need some more time, so like half an hour.
Cool.
That good?
Yep. Oh, balls. Did not get that one. There we go. Got that one. And... yeah, so this is just my process. Like I said, most of this has been learned from either experience or my electrical engineer for 30 plus years, father. If you have a different way of doing it that you like, that's totally cool. No wrong answers. There could be some wrong answers. I'm not saying that this is the best way of doing it. This is my way of doing it. If you've got a better way of doing it, that's great. This works really well for me, and it always has. Some of the things that I do are also based on like sort of speed. I try to balance. There's like a perfect way of doing everything, but usually the perfect way of doing things is also the slowest way. That's offset by the fact that when you do things the perfect way from the get-go, typically you don't have to do them a second time. So I kind of balance that. I balance trying to do things only once, but also if there's a corner or two that I can cut to speed things up, I will absolutely do that, as long as that's not going to reduce the quality to a point where it actually matters. That's also another thing, right? Like how much does it actually matter, right? We're gonna smack these things into walls. We're gonna rebuild them after a few years when the tech changes. So things like the NASA method of tinning the pad, solder wicking all of the solder off, and then re-tinning the pad. That doesn't make any sense. We're not sending these things to fucking Mars. We don't need them to last 20 years. So there's sort of a point of kind of diminishing returns almost with some of this stuff. So yeah, if you have like a quick and dirty way of doing this, I don't hate that, because it's going to get pulled apart when we bash it into something solid anyway. The way that I do this, you could definitely say is like way overkill. But I don't know. I disagree. I think that my way of doing it is the best mix of getting really good quality and not sort of wasting time. So, No wrong answers. Different ways of doing the same thing is totally fine. Different opinions are the spice of life. But I will say, if you're doing like a super quick and dirty method and and you're cutting a lot of corners, be a little careful, right? Like these, like especially a 5-inch rig, like they're big, they're heavy, they have a lot of power, and they're expensive, right? Like you got a GoPro on there. If you lose a GoPro in the ocean because you half-assed the solder joint, that was a pretty expensive little time saver, right? So I don't know. I tend to err in favor of being a little bit slower and doing a little bit better quality, so that I don't lose a rig or, God forbid, hurt somebody, right? I think I guess we haven't been lucky. We're just there aren't many of us, right? I was about to say we're lucky that we haven't like seriously injured anybody with an FPV rig before. But yeah, I think it's more just that there just aren't many of us. There just hasn't been enough really weird circumstances that put human beings in front of 80-mile-an-hour FPV rigs. I think it's inevitable that somebody gets hit in the face really hard and shows up on the news, unfortunately. But you know, hopefully that doesn't happen. To be clear, hopefully nobody gets hit in the face, not hopefully it doesn't get picked up by the news. Although, yeah, hopefully on both. Okay, we're about to have all these tinned, and I think we are right on top of midnight. So if you've got a burning question, make sure you drop it in the chat and tag me by typing CiottiFPV, no spaces in between. And I will answer it before the end of the stream here. I don't think I've seen a super chat tonight. Somebody do a super chat so that we don't have a super chatless stream. We don't want that. We can't have a stream without a super chat. Look on the left side there. I'm trying to get me some health insurance. Somebody help me out. How about that for a shill? I won't even feign support me because of. I'll just straight up ask for money. So there we go. And it is 11:59. Look at that. License to Drive got hit in the face by a tiny trainer. How is that for you, License? Probably a big bowl of nothing. Frank Nicholas with a $6.66 demonic super chat. Thank you, Frank. And then Grizz FPV with a $5 super chat. He says, I got you. Put both of those in the healthcare fund here. And we're going from 20. I'm just going to bail on the math and just do 30. Much appreciated. Fellas, it's easier to just ask. Maybe I'll just start... Maybe that's my new thing. I'll just be like, hey, guys, give me money. I won't shill the Patreon or anything anymore. All right. Let me zap one or two of these motors up just to give you guys the satisfaction of seeing a motor get soldered up to a pad on the ESC, because there is a certain amount of loveliness to that. Although usually my hands are in the way and you guys can't see it anyway, but hey, whatever. I need to, I'm actually going to be up for a while, but not playing Gran Turismo tonight. I'm going to be packing. We're leaving for Charleston tomorrow at around like 11 to try to avoid traffic. So I got to have all my lighting gear packed, which includes like the lights that are on right now. Like I literally have to tear down the my video light that lights up my face so that you guys can actually see me to bring with me, which is kind of annoying, but I mean whatever, it's fine. It's better than buying a. I don't run lighting more than like 2 or 3 times a year, so it doesn't make sense to have a kit specifically to do that. So I just set up and break down my existing kit that I use for everything. These streams and when I shoot stills and stuff like that, I just use all the same stuff every time. All right, one motor is about to be done. What do you think of that, world? So I solder the wires on like this so that they will be as protected as possible. The sides of the quad, when you're crashing through scraggle, can get kind of beat up. So I find that soldering them at an angle like this keeps them kind of as tucked in as possible. So there wasn't quite enough solder on this one here. So I'm just going to redo it real quick. Alright. And I'm going to just push this up against this little nubbin here. Come on! Get out of there. Get out of there, little devil. Equinciocha! Who knows what Equinciocha is? Anybody? I'll be pretty impressed if you know what that's from. That's a pretty obscure one. I think somebody will get it, though. Equinciocha. Ah! Keep losing control of this wire. There we go. Now I got it. Now I got it. Alright. That one looks... Let me make sure there's enough solder on there. It's fine, but it doesn't have that nice, fully shiny concave look, so I'm going to hit it one more time. Since this is going to be a giveaway rig, I want somebody to have a fancy looking thing. This is actually strong the way that this is. There's really no reason to redo this other than for vanity. But, you know, it's okay. It's okay to have something that looks good. That's better. That looks a little fancier. There we go. Quad Mods FPV with $13.99 Canadian. He says, "Good evening, sir. I'm going to start a workbench stream inspired by you and Joshua Bardwell and BG. Cheers." Sounds good, Quad Mods. Do it, man. Do it. All you guys stream. Oh my God, there's chaos going on in Super Chat land. T-Bird with $1. Thank you, T-Bird. You are the man. Freelojo with a $5. He says, "Got my first GoPro and the Wi-Fi doesn't appear to work." Take it back, Freelojo. Fuck that. Don't try to troubleshoot it. Take it back. Make him give you one that works. That's so annoying. Ed K says, "I pull off about 1 millimeter of the insulation, then you can hold the wire with tweezers and pull the silicone down to get more. I guess I type slow and you beat me to it, sort of." Freelo just says, "It always helps to make the sound when stripping wires." I agree. V-Man says, "Your clean builds and soldering methods probably helped your baller black box log you sent over to Chris and Bob, so time in gets quality out." Yeah, it could be. You never know. You never know. Drone Pilot says, "I'm a firm believer of if it's good enough, it's good enough. I can produce a work of art being an electronics engineer, but for park flyers, I take the attitude of quick repair and fly." Yeah, there's something to be said for that for sure. License to drive calling out to the guy in the face by a tiny trainer. Drone Pilot says the statement, hopefully no one gets hit, is why I drive for 2 hours to fly my big stuff away from everyone else and anything. Yeah, very true. DQ says, what build is this for? Must have missed it while cooking. This is the Patreon 200 patron giveaway rig. It's pretty much a full FPV crate build, oddly enough. It's the Lumineer QAV-S frame, the FPV crate T-motor Velox 2206.5s, the Pacer 50 amp ESC. I don't know what flight controller. F7 Pacer flight controller, and other things. License to Drive says it hurt. I had a small cut just above my eyebrow. I wasn't flying it. That's all. Just a small cut. That's pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive. Was it full? I mean, was it like full blast, or was it like did it get slowed down? Or CiottiFPV got it pretty quick. Look at you go. Remy Tim says Horse 8. What the hell's Horse 8? Supercell got it. Hey, what's up, Supercell? Billy is in the house. Mellow Fox says Ciotti's Descent into Madness. Yeah. Richard got it. Ace Ventura When Nature Calls. Richard calling out Bumblebee Tuna. Mellow Fox says Duck Dynasty. Nope. Duck Dynasty. Quincy Ocha means, in the movie, it means White Devil, and the natives are calling Ace Ventura White Devil in that scene. Let me guess. White Devil, White Devil, White Devil. You speak Wachutu? A little. Oh, Equine Ocho is what Remy Tim thought I was saying. Let me do a few more of these. I'm tempted to do all of these, but man, I gotta pack. I really don't want to pack them. I've been procrastinating packing all day. This is now on the wrong side. So let's rotate this around. It's the wrong camera. Yeah, I would really love to get all these motors soldered on here. That would be a really nice sense of accomplishment for the night. So let's see. Let's see how much of this I can convince myself to do before I run away into the night. The Nightman. Alright. We got that fella, and he's looking all shiny and pretty and fancy. A little bit too much solder on that one, actually. We got this little homeboy here. Just gonna kind of bring him over here at an angle. And when you do these at an angle, just make sure that you get enough contact. It's easy to kind of have the silicone insulation make the wire kind of sit up. You don't want that. You want the wire to sit flat as possible on the pad. So make sure with the tip of the soldering iron you do push down a little bit on the pad to get the wires nice and flat. And then we got number 3 here. Always remember that solder, the physical properties of solder are pretty terrible. So you always want the exposed wires as close to the pad as possible. If you have the pad and then a whole big blob of solder and then the exposed wires on top, that big blob of solder is weak, and it's gonna be the breaking point. Oddly enough, you could actually make the argument that will save you from lifting and ripping pads off, but I don't. If the crash is hard enough to rip the pad off, let it. You should have a little bit of extra wire between your motors and the pads anyway, so that shouldn't really be an issue. But yeah, I've actually kind of thought about that before. Like Like, well, why don't I do a shitty job soldering, and then the solder will let go instead of pulling the pad off. But I don't think that's the way to do these things, because then it's going to rip off prematurely. I want it to fail, absolute worst case scenario, right? Like, I only want it to let go when it's generated so much force, rather than it letting go earlier than that, when it's like, oof, that shouldn't have broken. That shouldn't have ripped that off, right? Does that make any sense? I feel like I explained that horribly. Alright, and this little fella here. So what you're looking for is initially the solder on the wire itself is going to flow, and then you need to wait for the solder on the pad to then flow. If you don't, you're going to have a cold solder joint, and that is a weak solder joint that is going to let go. So don't do that. It's a two-phase process. The wire will flow, then the pad will flow, and then you're actually going to give it like another kind of split second, so that everything, and you'll see the solder kind of start to move around a little bit. Aaron Stevens says, how long does it take you to do a build start to finish? It depends. If it's a build I've done before, I can bang them out in like a few hours, like maybe 2 or 3 hours. If it's a build I haven't done before, I spend a good amount of time like sort of engineering the build and like planning out where stuff is going to go, to have like the shortest wire runs and to get a little bit more durability and just, yeah, some other reasons. So like a scratch build on a frame I haven't built before, shit man, that'll take me like 5 or 6 hours sometimes. But again, I err in favor of building really clean and really pretty, because I'm a perfectionist, which comes from a lingering mental health issue of one of the biggest issues that I have is just the idea of not being good enough, like not just like in life with everything, just not good enough, which goes back to being bullied as a kid. And so what can happen when you're bullied as a kid is that your brain will want to do everything absolutely perfect so that you can't be bullied, right? Like if I build this so that it's absolutely beautiful, then nobody can say, oh, look at that garbage, look at shitty quality work you do, right? It's childhood scars can do some really weird shit. So yeah, I'm working on it. Talk therapy every single week this year, and many years before that. I think Sean is my 5th talk therapist, and yeah, he's helped me more than pretty much everybody else combined, which is pretty wild. Talk therapy is a good thing, even if you don't have mental health issues. You can really learn a lot about yourself and how your brain works and why certain things anger you and why certain things make you happy, and it's really a wonderful experience, especially if you have health care. Get something out of your health care, man. You're paying for it. Go get your head right. I mean, my favorite, one of my coworkers way back in the day, in talking about talk therapy, he said, He said, man, at this point, I just go because it only costs me like whatever his copay was, $10 a week, $20 a week. He's like, and I can just yell at someone. Not like yell at them, but I can just go dump all of my problems on someone and just talk to someone who's being paid to listen, right? Like, that's different than a friend. You can only expect so much of your friends, right? But a talk therapist, like, you're paying them, and it is literally their job to sit there and listen. And some talk therapists, like, I've had one or two talk therapists that all they do is listen. Like, they don't really offer you, they didn't really offer me any like coping methods, or they just sat there and listened. And like, for a lot of people that actually really works. And it's like surprisingly therapeutic to have someone just sit there and listen to you. Yeah, go to talk therapy. Especially if you have health insurance and you haven't been to the doctor in a while. Veritas Weasel with a $20 super chat. He says, get healthcare, buddy. Deal. We're going up to 50. I'm also going to scroll up a little bit and get quad mods in here. I'm going to assume that 14 Canadian is roughly 10 cheeseburger dollars. And then we've got Freelo Joe and T-Bird with another 6. Look at us go. $66. You guys are awesome. I'm going to get caught up in chat, and then I'm going to end your Monday night Q&A and Patreon 200 patron giveaway build beginning thing. I'm very behind. Holy cow. License to Drive says the tiny trainer is being flown indoors. We don't do that now. And he crashed and bounced off the wall and into my face. Okay. Veritas Weasel says, nice watch, bud. What's the make and model? Is it a Tissot? It is not. This is a Tracer, Traser H3. I don't know if they make this particular one anymore. It's got a cracked face at the moment. This is a tritium watch. Tritium is a very low... you can't see it. It's a very low yield radioactive substance that glows 24/7. When it's dark enough that you need your watch dials to glow, tritium is the perfect brightness. It's really cool stuff, and it's so low yield or whatever that it doesn't give you wrist cancer. This is like a 20. I bought this like 25 years ago when I was super into airsoft. For a time, this was the government, and the reason that I bought it. This was the issue watch for Special Forces, Delta, and I believe SEAL Team 6 as well. Incredibly well made watch, bomb proof, classic look. And then this is a Maritac NATO band. That I got from CountyCom, COUNTYCOM. You guys should check out CountyCom. They have really cool stuff. Here, let me drop a link on you guys. CountyCom has, it's kind of like, I mean, they're a government products group. They just have really cool stuff. I bought lots of their stuff back when I was into airsoft and super into like military shit. But there you go. There's CountyCom. They make some really, really nice stuff. The Nightman, DQ says. Aaron Stevens says, how long will that build start to finish? How long would it take to complete for a complete beginner? For a complete beginner, Aaron, give yourself like 10 hours, man. Don't, specifically because you really don't want to rush it. And like, you want to not enjoy the process, but like kind of enjoy the process, like, and just, you know, like as you're doing it, like look at stuff and like, you know, look at the ESC and like, oh, what's that little box in there? I wonder what that is. And also like the more time you spend with it when it's clean and you're first building it, the better chance that when you start bashing it into stuff, you're going to be able to like notice like, oh, that didn't look like that. Why is that part all black? That's not good. Why is that broken in half, right? So yeah, I would give yourself like 10 hours. Plus, you're gonna be going on to fucking Bardwell's, how-tos and maybe watching some of my nonsense. So yeah, I think 10 hours is pretty fair. Spread it out. Do it like over the course of like a week. Like do this one night, and then do the flight controller the next night, and then yeah. Don't rush it. Do not rush it. Veritas says, what wattage soldering iron do you recommend? Is there a battery model you would recommend for day-to-day use as well as wireless in the field? The TS100 is like the best on-the-go soldering iron. I don't like it for bench work here. I have the Weller 1010 that I got off of Amazon. It's $100. There's a Hacko that's like $50 or $60 that's on Joshua Bardwell's FPV Know-It-All website in the tools section that's cheaper and just as good. I bought the Weller because my dad has a Weller and it wasn't that much more expensive than the Hacko. And Weller is like the fancy kind of brand. It's got this cool blue. Yeah, it's just like blue and just kind of fancy. I don't know. It was just it was a moment of like buy something a little bit nicer because I use it a lot, and it was just like, and when I use it, I feel a little bit fancy, it's I don't need a Mercedes-Benz, man. I just need a soldering iron that's $30-$40 more to be happy. But yeah, TS100 for your field stuff. I don't really solder in the field, so I've never spent the money on a TS100. I got a like $8 one that I've used one time in the field. So yeah, I don't want to be soldering when I'm out flying. I want to be out flying. So what I do is I build multiple identical rigs. So I have like 3 or 4 completely identical rigs. If I break one of them or a motor pad rips off, I put it in the back of the car and I grab one of the other rigs. These rigs are not that expensive, right? You can build one of these rigs for $200-$300. That is not a lot of money, and it saves you so much time and aggravation having multiple identicals, and just put it away when you're done and get the next one. If you want to get good as a pilot, it's really important to do that. Freeloader says, well, CiottiFPV didn't go full NASA. I did not. DQ says, I feel that sometimes it takes me months to build. Yeah, it does. It does. T-Bird says, it took 6 hours to build my glide. Yeah, it's pretty nuts how quick 6 hours stacks up. YouTube just did the thing. Abraham says, I take my parts out, put them on the frame, and then just stare at it and think about the layout for an hour or two, then run out of time to build it, call it a day, like really often. Yeah, I do the same thing, Aber. Yeah. But when you do that, the build will typically crash better, have less electrical noise, be easier to work on. So I think it's important to really put thought into these builds. And what's cool is you'll do a build, you'll put thought into it, you'll crash it a bunch, and you'll learn a bunch. And then the next one you'll put thought into and you'll build it better. And then like within like 2 or 3 builds, you'll figure out a bunch of like little secret stupid things. Like putting the wires like this, right? Like that took me probably a year to figure out, but you know what? It was worth it. So yeah, there's definitely something to be said for just like laying the build out and just like and just kind of think about it and just, yeah. Building is a little bit of an art. Abraham says it's okay to take pride in your work. You enjoy the ride to make a beautiful quad, even though you're just going to go out and smash it. Random FPV says insert inappropriate content here. Driftaholic says any cheap way to check antennas? Not really. There is a way, but it's not cheap. It is this. Immersion RC power meter. I don't really recommend that you buy one. If you have a bunch of people around you that you normally fly with, I definitely recommend you guys all go in on one of these, because this is really nice to have, and this is how you check an antenna. This one was sent to me by somebody in the chat a while back, very kindly, that bought it and didn't use it. So yeah, it's really nice to have. Although, alternatively, if you have more than one rig and you think that you have a problem, you go to a building spot, you fly one rig around the back of the building, see where it breaks up, fly the other rig around the back of the building, see where that one breaks up. And like if the antenna is blown up, like you'll know it. It'll be very obvious. So you can get around it, but it's nice nice to have in your little group. Abraham with a $9.99 super chat. He says, for your health insurance and or self-care expenses, keep fighting the fight, man. The best you can do is good. The best you can is good enough. Thank you, Aber. Super, super kind of you, and very, very true. Boom! 76. You guys are the best. King Turkey says the Chinese used to hand paint the watch accents with tritium. Guess what they used to straighten the bristles? Their tongue. They figured out when they all lost their hair. So I think tritium is a gas, actually. But I mean, gases can become liquids. That's interesting. I haven't looked up tritium in a while. Tritium. Naturally occurring radioactive form of hydrogen that is produced in the atmosphere when cosmic rays collide with air molecules. Very smaller trace amounts in groundwater throughout the world. That's scary. It's also a byproduct of the production of electricity by nuclear power plants. There you guys go. Tritium backgrounds. Cool stuff. Tritium is really neat stuff. I used to have a couple little tiny tritium vials that I'd planned to use, but they were very small and I lost them. Veritas Rizzo says I own Luminox watches which use tritium. So Luminox Tracer was basically, I don't know if Tracer came first and then Luminox was like licensed. I think, I could totally be wrong, but I think I remember the story being is that Tracer came first and then but they were only making like government issue stuff, and then I believe Luminox was either a part of their company, maybe, that they wanted to break into the normal people space. So yeah, Luminox watches are pretty much identical to Tracer. Veritas Weasel says I use Luminox watches which use tritium. Seal and F117 watches. Dermatologist told me not to wear it as many of his patients get skin cancer under it. Really? I care, bud. Take it off. Really? No. 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 What? Tritium watch wearers and tumors. Nuclear engineer by trade, so I think I can talk on this subject. Tritium is radioactive and decays by beta emission, but at a very, very low energy. The energy is low enough where it's non-ionizing, and only ionizing radiation has the potential to cause mutations. Plus, with the low energy, it would be shielded very easily, and so I doubt that much that much, if any, would be able to escape even the crystal watch back. Sorry to hear about your tumor, but I don't think tritium in a watch would be to blame. Crazy. As stated, not related to tritium, and good luck. I mean, but a doctor seeing it, what Veritas state? A dermatologist seeing it under where your watch is. I mean, that's pretty damning. And like, it sounds like many of his patients. Good God. I'm glad I haven't been wearing it for forever. My goodness. Freeloja says, I do like my TS100 for bench work. TS100 works totally fine for bench work. I just don't like the ergonomics of it. Totally a personal thing. I know lots of people that use TS100s for bench work, and it's great for that. Metal Dirtskin saying tritium is an isotope of hydrogen. Drone Pilot says, I have one of those immersion RC meters. They are so essential. Definitely for long range guys, for sure. Drone pilot says, I'll lay it out first and look before building, can move things around. Stared at it for ages, thinking crash, survive, maybe check again. Hell yeah. Carbon Cage is in the house. What's up, Big and Little Cage? Alright, caught up there. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Veritas says, tritium is contained within basilic glass so that it actively excites the phosphorus into glowing. There you go. That's why it's in little vials. B-Man says, they used to use radium on watches back in World War II. Those women were told to lick the brushes to keep them pointy and dip it into radium. Good God. Then these women got crazy diseases, and they didn't know what they were doing until they realized all the women had the same crazy symptoms. Yeah, back before we understood radiations, man, we made some fucking mistakes. Ooh, my dad used to tell me some crazy stories because he was working in, plasma fusion, which he used to have to wear a thing that would trigger from radiation. He would have to get checked for the thing would get checked to make sure he didn't get too much exposure, and if he did, they would put him on paid leave or whatever for a while. You should watch the Franz Lab episode on the radioactive glowing watches. What the hell's Franz Lab? Franz Lab. YouTube channel. Oh. I'm there. And I'm gonna click here. And I'm gonna type watch. Ooh. Ooh. Man, there's a lot of video there's a lot of videos on Franz Lab. Which one is it? What if I search for radioactive? Will that find it? What do I search for, Marcellus? Scroll. Oh my God, YouTube. Stop doing the thing. Where are we at? Come on. Why can't I find where I was at? Oh, there we go. Remy Tim says, a lot of people here are getting confused between radium and tritium for glow-in-the-dark watch faces. Radium is radioactive. Okay, so I wonder if that dermatologist was getting confused between radium and tritium. Because they put tritium in a hell of a lot of watches. And I feel like... Veritas Weasel says, to quote my doctor, that watch you're wearing, it will look just as good in its box. Many of my patients have come to me with cancer under those watches. God, that's crazy. How is that not, like... If that's true, right? How is that not, like... Why is it not all over Google? Is it a cover-up? DQ says, remember not to lick your watch and you'll be fine. Abraham says, we'll be exploring this idea about tritium with my dermatologist this week. Get back to you. Being a doctor with skin cancer is a bit of a double-edged sword. Definitely get back to me, Aber, because now I'm all freaked out. Go-Kart Mozart is in the house. What's up, Go-Kart? Go-Kart, we gotta get on Gran Turismo Sport and smash into each other some. Ridium says, your dad wore a dosimeter. That's what it's called. Dosimeter. Marcelia says, Fran Blanche. I linked it. It's what you should know before buying a clock on eBay. Before you buy an antique clock on eBay. Okay. I bet you the antique clocks have radium. Yeah, it mentions radium here. Here's what I do. I just search for tritium. Tritium. Nope. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Drone Pilot with the last comment of the night. He says, I worked with other engineers on the first nuclear test station here in Australia. We were green, red indicators even though the uranium was underground and so far away from where I worked. 10-4 in GT Sport. Awesome. That shit's scary, Drone Pilot. I don't know if I would I don't know if I'd be able to do that as I put the radioactive watch back on. Thanks for hanging out, people. This has been a really good Monday night stream. I'm glad that we went a little bit longer because this week is going to be a little bit janky with streams. So bear with me this week. I'll be in Charleston. Maybe I'll do a. I'll probably do like a Instagram stream or two. So hit me on Instagram, CiottiFPV. Make sure you're following. Actually, I did a potentially amusing stream today over on Instagram. So go check that out. It'll be like my most recent video on there. Yeah, I'll see you guys this week. Be good. Be kind to yourself. You're worth it. Build some stuff, fly some stuff, crash some stuff, and yeah, go over to CiottiFPV.com and click some buttons so I can keep doing this all day, every day. You guys are awesome. Let me give you some more flight footage real quick. What do we got here? I'm gonna give you the full 4-inch motion edit that I was talking about before. This is what you can get from a Runcam hybrid. This is why I love the Runcam hybrid. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, I got that. Get you guys some music here that won't get me thrown in YouTube jail. Restless and smooth. Sounds good. I'll see you guys this week. Be good. Bye-bye.